What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American, here today to react and learn about what English people really think about the Scottish. As an American, I have no idea what the relationship is like between England and Scotland. I know that they have a complicated history, that both the countries border each other, and they're both part of the UK. But besides that, I really don't know anything about the relationship now between England and Scotland. So today, I want to hear from English people living in England and their thoughts on Scotland. So, with that being said, let's take a look.
They're friendly, but also like potentially when you first meet them, they seem a bit grumpy, or you feel like, oh no, have I said something? But then you get chatting, and it's oh no, they're lovely and they're good fun and good crack.
What?
A good crack? What does that mean? A good crack? I don't even know. But so far, you know, starting off here pretty strong. This is very positive, and I love to see that. It was kind of funny. She said, oh, Scottish people are lovely, but when you first meet them...
Like, potentially when you first meet them, they seem a bit grumpy, or you feel like, oh no, have I said something? But then you get chatting, and it's oh no, they're lovely and they're good fun. And
good fun and a good crack.
Good crack.
So maybe there is like a significant cultural difference between England and Scotland. I would have assumed so, but as an American, I don't really understand what it is, and apparently there's enough of a cultural difference that at least this English person is like, oh, when I talk to a Scottish person, I can't tell if they're upset with me or mad at me, but no, it was a misunderstanding and they're actually great fun. And is that like a stereotype about Scottish culture? Or I don't know, that Scottish people are what? Like rough around the edges at first, or kind of come across as closed off, even though that they really don't intend for that to be what they mean? Or I don't know, I'm trying to read into this. Let's take a look at a couple more opinions from English people on this.
What are your opinions on Scottish people? Do you know any Scottish people? Have you been to Scotland?
Yes. I've only been to Scotland once. That was for a long weekend in Edinburgh.
Okay.
Oh, Edinburgh. This is an interesting question. From my perspective as an American as well, how often do English people travel into Scotland? Or, I mean, the countries are bordering each other. It's quite close. It's, I assume it's easy to do. Do you have to, like, show your passport to cross the border between England and Scotland? Probably, right? Or, anyway, how often do Scottish people visit England, English people visit Scotland? Or, because like here in America, we border Canada and Mexico, but I wouldn't say that a lot of Americans have actually ever been to those countries, to be honest. So I wonder if it's more common in the UK for people to travel to the different countries within the UK.
I do have Scottish friends who
good
like.
friends when you make a friendship.
Yeah?
Yes.
I served in the RAF with a lot of a Scottish guy was my best mate.
Oh, yeah?
A Scottish guy was his best friend. This guy also said Scottish people are very loyal friends, which is very cool.
So they're loyal, maybe, or something?
Oh, always reliable.
Reliable.
Mm.
That's a nice
And
one.
always there when you're in a pub.
What does that mean? If you're in a pub, there's always going to be a Scottish person. Do Scottish people enjoy the good pub? Isn't that like, don't most British people enjoy a pub? Or this is great so far. This is great. I wasn't exactly sure what the opinions were going to be, or what the feelings or attitude is like for English and Scottish people and what they think of each other. But so far, it's very, very positive, which is great to see.
I had one guy holding me by my tie, trying to throttle me when two of my mates came on and got rid of him. Like, I couldn't move, and he was
No.
in Bristol. That was.
Never mind. This guy was getting choked to death in a pub by a Scot, but he's laughing about it. I think he kind of looks back fondly over. He's like, yeah, this Scottish guy was choking me in the pub. It was great times.
What stereotypes are there that you know of?
Oh,
that maybe
yeah, deep fried Mars bars.
This is stereotypes of Scottish people? Americans have some stereotypes of Scottish people. Scotland sometimes appears in like movies and pop culture and stuff. Sometimes, and what we see in America, red hair, kilts, bagpipes. Yeah. That's very stereotypical, I know. Very, like, not giving any deeper credit to the Scottish culture, but those are, like, the few things that us Americans are kind of shown about Scotland. That's basically all I know.
Haggis. Yeah.
Haggis.
It's the Celtic.
Yeah,
It's Celtic
kilts.
culture.
Yeah.
Like kind of like pride, or
Yeah, they've got
Yes.
a real Celtic pride.
Celtic pride. I've heard of Celtic, but I'm not really sure what that actually is or what that actually means. Celtic, but I've heard of it.
what stereotypes had you heard of before you went, or what stereotypes are there now? Which, true or untrue, I guess.
Yeah, good. I'm glad he's phrasing the question this way. I want to know if these stereotypes have any truth to them, or if they're like not true, or maybe clear up some things for me as well.
Of the Scots.
They're all ginger.
They all play the bagpipes.
Literally exactly what I was saying. That there's a lot of Scottish people with red hair. Is that a stereotype, or is there some truth to that? Like, there's like a Pixar movie, like, with Scottish people, and the main character, the woman, has red hair, I think. So is that like a stereotype? Does that annoy Scottish people to assume that, and they all play the bagpipes? Well, I doubt all Scottish people play the bagpipes, but I think that is a part of Scottish culture, though, right?
Some of them did.
Yeah.
In real life.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like their stereotypes is quite aggressive,
Right, yeah.
firm tone of voice, and
Sure.
just like passionate about things.
Okay. Passionate or aggressive. As Americans, the Scottish accent, we do perceive it as pretty forceful, pretty aggressive. Like, it's a pretty, like, intense accent, like, to be completely honest. Americans love it, though. It's a really fun accent. And there's something about it that almost encourages you to sound more passionate about things. I don't know if that's true at all, but whenever I hear a Scottish accent, I'm like, wow, they really mean what they say and say what they mean. Listen to that accent.
Okay, like they call a spade, kind of straight talking.
Yeah.
What stereotypes?
I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but that sounds like a good thing. Like, that there's some power in the speaking and the accent, and some passion and straight talking, saying what you mean. I don't know if Scottish people are known for being more blunt or straightforward, but I kind of like that.
Do you know, or had you heard of before you made friends with Scotland apart? And are they true, untrue? What ones do you get to hear from media?
Right.
Mean.
Yeah, but I don't think
wrong.
that's true.
That's wrong.
And that they're a lot of drunks.
And a
lot of jokes were about drunk.
Avoid people from Glasgow.
Yeah,
Rubbish.
but that's
Rub it. Okay, this is fantastic. I love this. And honestly, so far, this video has largely been a couple of these English people really clearing up some misconceptions they think there are about Scotland and Scottish people. This couple is like, Scottish people are known for being mean. That's not how Americans think of Scotland. I mean, Americans don't really think about Scotland all that much, to be honest. But when English people think about Scotland, do you think like, oh, they're very blunt, they're mean, they're too aggressive, drinking? Is that like a stereotype that maybe it'd be fair to say some English people have, but is not really true once you actually go to Scotland, meet some people, become friends? These two English people are like, that's rubbish, that's complete rubbish, which is really cool to hear, actually.
It's not true either.
I've heard that one too, that Glasgow's rough.
No.
But Billy Connolly's from Glasgow now.
Yeah, they know rougher than anyone else on a Saturday night.
Is there anything...
Glasgow? Does Glasgow have like a reputation of being rough? This guy cracks me up. He's like, nah, I've gotten choked in a pub wherever you go on a Saturday night.
That's primarily Scottish. That would improve English life.
Oh, now this is an interesting question. Is there anything about Scottish culture that English people would like to see more in England? Anything that Scottish people do that maybe could benefit English way of life? Okay.
English culture, English people. You know,
I don't know, deep fried Mars bar.
What? This guy again with the deep fried Mars bar. Is that known in Scotland? I've never heard of this. Is this another stereotype? Maybe you have to be in the UK to know about this one, but I've never associated a deep fried Mars bar with Scotland before. Maybe that's a thing.
Maybe not.
Gosh, you can tell what's on your mind, can't you?
what would you take from Scottish tradition, culture, anything that you think would improve, like England or English tradition, English culture? Kilts?
Kilts, maybe, yeah. It would...
Kilts. This is an interesting question because it's also like saying, what do you not like about your own culture? Which is kind of an awkward question to ask.
Depends what's under them. I don't know if they're more family-minded than us.
I think...
More family-oriented, more family-minded? I don't know. Does anyone know more about that? That'd be a really great thing. More family-minded. That's an interesting one. I feel like most cultures around the world are pretty family-minded. Some more than others, but that's like a basic tenet of human life, is that like you're a community or a family, and that's important. So I don't know.
The directness is a good thing sometimes. I think... I mean, the stereotype of the English is that we don't really say what we think. We're too polite, and sometimes you just need to say how it is.
Oh, I like that. That's a good answer. Because it's kind of like maybe a fault in the British culture, but it's also kind of like sweet that British people, English people, English people specifically, have a problem with being direct and saying exactly what they're thinking, because English people want to be polite, and are worried about offending other people. Maybe you could call that like a drawback, but it's also kind of nice. Like, I think I wouldn't mind a little more of that here in America. The English politeness, and actually caring about how you affect other people. But for English people, maybe you think it goes too far, and you could use some of the Scottish directness. It's a balance. But I thought that was a good answer.
I love music, so from a music point of view, I think I love Celtic folk and all of that stuff. So I think if that was more in England, I'd love that. That kind of like national unity of like, this is our music. Whereas I think England's
Good answer.
Yeah, just like...
Ooh, the Scottish music, the Celtic music. Is that like Celtic music? I think of like Viking. Is that at all related to Celtic or like medieval sorta? Or I'm not really sure, but anyway, even though I don't quite understand, it is cool to have like a national identity as far as music goes.
Culturally blended, which is amazing, but it also means I don't know whether I could tell someone what our English kind of musical identity is. That would probably be what I would say.
Okay.
From what you know, what would you take from kind of Scottish culture, tradition, or character traits that would kind of improve English people, or Welsh people maybe, or Welsh tradition?
Okay.
Some of their writing is first class. Right?
That's a great answer.
Yeah, folk music.
From Bern.
Music. The music again. Writing. Yeah, I'm sure there's works of literature from Scotland that I'm not aware of, that's for sure. That's cool. That's like, these are things that, because like I'm American, I would never even think of these things, but it's really cool to see from English people's perspective, like, they obviously know a lot more about Scotland and can make some of these comparisons, so that's interesting for me.
Well,
Yes, Robert Burns.
Yeah, I mean, Burns with poems and whatever, but some of the stories that have been told, and definitely literature. Then
that's great. I like that answer a lot.
Nice.
Thanks for watching this week's episode.
Oh, there we go. Okay. That was fascinating. I loved this because it was just walking up and talking to random people in England and their thoughts on Scotland. I was a little nervous because I was like, I don't really know all of the history between England and Scotland. I think there's been some conflicts and stuff. But it seems like now in the present day, none of that really matters and everyone's pretty friendly. And there was a lot of actually very nice words of admiration about Scottish culture here. So that was really, really cool to see. This video is by Easy British English, and I gotta give it a like because I quite enjoyed hearing this perspective from English people. So anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on, if you're English, what you think of Scotland and Scottish culture, or any of these questions or answers. That'd be very interesting to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Britain and British culture and stuff about Britain I've never learned before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.